There have been many times that I have worked with a spirit in the in-between who was wishing to cross over or stuck in some way, who needed help crossing over, who was stuck because of trauma. This is a very common experience, and I'd like to talk to you about it a little bit today. When it comes to crossing over, the in between is a very psychological place. There is a lot of psychology that happens in there. And really, I can summarize it pretty simply. When we pass away, when our body decides it's done and our spirit leaves the body to cross over to the other side, our spirit and our mind, our human mind here on earth, separates from the physical body, leaving the physical body behind on earth, and our spirit and our human mind go through the in-between process, their crossing over process. They go through their review, through their history. If you're interested in this, I go into great detail on this in the crossing over course that we have. But in essence, in going through that in-between, it's both your spirit going home, but it's also your human experience processing through what happened here on earth and going through your review. As a result of this, going through the in-between, which is like a middle room, right? When we pass away and we release the physical body, we step into this in-between space, this middle room. And what we have is all of us except for our human shell, now the human body. We have we're still the same human that we were here on earth, and we are still our beautiful spirit. And we're moving toward crossing over. Well, the review process can be very complicated, and it can also be sometimes difficult to face. And I see this a lot with people who are stuck. This is a very big reason and a very frequent reason why people will hold still in the in-between. They get to that review process and they face something that really struck the trauma nerve, really hit that emotional piece of something that we maybe haven't completely processed through or haven't really faced when we were living. And it can cause people to stop the crossing over process. It can cause people to sort of dig their, spiritual heels in to say, well, it's not even the spiritual heels digging in at that point. It's the human mind heels digging in saying, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this. And it's quite frequent. For those that are watching and listening to this session who do this work, you know what I'm talking about. There's typically 90%, if not more, of the individuals who are going through the crossing over process and become stuck. There is a fear-based reason for it. Fear is only found in the linear mind, the linear time mind. Right? That human experience that we have. When we cross over and we let go of our programming body, the linear mind that is functioning on linear time, we are no longer in linear time on the other side. We no longer can feel fear because you have to have linear time to feel fear. You have to have linear time. You have to have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to worry about what's going to happen on Thursday, on Monday. You have to be fearful. In order to be fearful of something, you have to have a timeline. You have to, because if there isn't linear time, there's nothing closed off from you. Thus, there's nothing to fear. So while we're here on earth, we have experiences that do cause us fear. Many people go through traumatic events that can be difficult to process, and sometimes they haven't completely processed it. And really, do we ever completely process it? Once you've had an experience here on earth, that's an experience that you've had. That's yours, and it's there, and it's something that you need to work into, heal if you can. But sometimes people can hit that wall in the in-between. I recall a woman who was stuck in the in-between, and it was one of the more kind of casual days for me. I wasn't going to a ghost hunt. I wasn't called on an assignment or called by a client to come into their home to, clear the home or anything. This was just a casual day. And I was like walking through my neighborhood. It was even my neighborhood that I was in. I was walking through my neighborhood And there was a park down at the end. I'm going from a house down to the park, and I'm going to come back. I was by myself. I was just taking a breath of fresh air. I was just like, I was a mom to young kids. I just wanted to kind of, they were supervised, and I said, I'm just going to stroll. And I went for a stroll. I still to this day look back and on that one particular day, and it doesn't surprise me that I was pulled to go on this walk. A lot of people that do crossing over work really get pulled into something quite frequently, and they didn't know why they took a left or took a right, only to find out, oh, I'm in a situation where there was a spirit who is stuck and needs assistance. Same thing kind of happened. So I was almost to the park. I was walking down the street. I was almost to the park, and I saw her, and she was just sitting there, and it was on a lawn, and she was just sitting there in spirit form, very translucent, not very strong at all, to the point where I almost kind of didn't connect with it other than that sort of the energetic pull. And she wasn't looking at me, and I knew she was stuck. Like I could feel it. She was I could feel her stewing. She wasn't really moving, but I could feel her sort of stewing, right? And she was looking down, and she wasn't going to look at anything else. It almost felt like that focus of an individual who, if I just keep looking right here, the whole world will stop and I won't have to deal with anything. That was the feeling that I got. And this is also a very common thing that you'll hear when you talk to people who do crossing over work, that they run into a spirit that is working hard to hold still. There's a lot of reasons for this that I go into in the course, but in essence, I saw her and I paused, and, I just kind of, you pull your phone out and you're just going to sort of act like you're doing something, because I'm in the middle of a neighborhood street, and I guess it would look strange just sort of starting to talk to the tree that she was next to, right? But, I just kind of drew my attention to her, and then I could feel it because she could feel me. I knew that she knew that I was there and that I had kind of locked my attention on her, and I just started the conversation. I said, "Are you okay? Can I help you? Is there something that I can do? Can I lift up your energy? Can I help you?" And all I could hear was, "I don't want to move. I don't want to move. I don't want to move. I don't want to move." Now, this actually happened for quite a bit. I was standing there for a little bit of time, because when it comes to crossing over work, we're not in the position as somebody who, like a rescue medium or a collector or somebody that does this work, we're not in the position to say, "You, home. Go, cross over now, boom." If there is resistance and they have a strong will and they have worked hard enough to hold still and not cross over, that is something that you're going to be confronted with, is that sometimes, not always, sometimes you can really push someone along, especially if they're harmful or if it's, detrimental to the agreed upon reality here. Sometimes you can push, sometimes you can be a bit forceful, but for the most part, this is a very psychological experience. And the best thing you can do is kind of shake them out of their focus, because it's the focus that keeps them anchored in. It's the focus that keeps them stuck. You may have heard people say, who have had near-death experiences, who have experienced that pull toward the light. You've heard them say, "It was automatic. It was a pull. Like you could just feel it. I was just going." That is the case. When you pass and you go through the in-between, it's automatic. It's a people mover. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. That's where you're going. And the further you get, the better it feels. Well, when you have an individual such as this woman who started that automatic pull and then decided, "I don't want to face whatever I don't want to face," she needs to put her focus in on holding still, because she doesn't have a physical body. She can't anchor in with physical feet into any sort of physical space. She needs to mentally say, "I'm holding still. I'm not moving." So this is what I was faced with in this moment. It's very common. And I knew what I knew to do. Talk to my guide. What do I do? And my guide says very frequently, expand their thought process, like expand what they're thinking about. And so that's where I started asking her different questions. Do you have family members on the other side? What was your favorite activity? Did you do art? Did you do sports? Did you do music? Do you love this? Do you love that? What is your favorite day? What is your favorite thing to do, right? And if you can get them kind of talking about that, that is going to release their focus, and that automatic movement is going to start happening. That's what you want. And so I got her to talk about, there was a couple of things. The one thing I remember was it was a dancer. This was a number of years ago, but I remember she was a dancer. And that's when the second she said dancer, I could like see the dress on her. It was like a really loose, long skirt that like went down past her knees. And I was like, oh, is that like your dancing skirt? Do you wear? And she's like, I loved wearing skirts when I danced. And then I could kind of feel this flow of like her spinning around. I said, and so I'm just getting into the conversation with her. I am showing up where she's at in order to get her to think about something else or to release her focus. And my response was, did you love spinning? Like I'm trying, and I'm not, a dancer, so you can talk about things that you're not, just ask questions, did you love that spinning? And I see your beautiful skirt. And yes, I loved wearing skirts and I love that feel of the spin and everything else. And what kind of joy did that bring you? And then I started asking a couple other questions. And I remember she talked about a couple other things that I can't recall off the top of my head. This one, I just remember the skirt. I remember the spinning. I remember the dancing. But I think we talked about like another family member that was perhaps on the other side. Bless you, Sadie. That's my dog. Another family member that's on the other side. And then we talked about something else. I think it was like the work that she did or something. Enough of this that she started to move, and she had a moment. And when I say move, I just mean energetically continue to move in the process. And when she started to realize that she was moving again and that energetically she was starting to shift, I could see a little bit of panic in her face. And that's when I said, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Just relax. Just relax. Relax. You're safe. You are loved. You are moving toward love. You are moving toward peace. I know it feels a little bit uncomfortable. Just think release, 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 and relax. And I could just see her kind of going, okay, okay. And it was interesting. I remember, and then for me, when individuals cross over, I know this sounds kind of odd, but they just sort of disappear. It's not, there's no like, I don't see like a big door. I don't see like a light. I don't see like a big, light up sign that says success. Like it's that I can feel their calm, and then I can sort of just feel the air kind of settle back in, and then they're not there. And I knew she had crossed over right before I could see her just go, okay. And it was almost like witnessing courage come into someone to say, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And you know what? In the end, when it comes to crossing over work, when it comes to supporting people transitioning through their death process, which there's traditions all over the globe of people that do this, they sit in witness, for someone who has just passed. This is a beautiful, beautiful practice. And so to just stand there, even for the short time that one does, to acknowledge a spirit who's a person who's working on crossing over, and giving them a little bit of encouragement and saying, I see you, I'm here. You're showing up for them. Small little bit of effort, whole lot of love, and then you're helping that person to cross over. Because it's important. Why? Because ghosts are people too.